$44.8 billion for mayonnaise and bouillon cubes. I love it. The mega deal is officially back.
Oh, come on. You do not drop $44 billion just for condiments. McCormick is buying a $20 billion global revenue stream.
They are buying absolute shelf dominance, Maya. And they just dragged Q1 global deal volume to $1.3 trillion.
A 20% jump. I still need to see the antitrust footnotes on this flavor monopoly. But first, how exactly did we hit $1 trillion? The rundown.
$39 million. That's what a former Silicon Valley shoe darling goes for these days.
Less than what Allbirds probably spent on oat milk in the corporate cafeteria during their peak.
American Exchange Group is tossing them a lifeline. The stock jumped 30% on the news, which is hilarious because 30% of zero is still basically zero.
That's a dramatic fall. They went public at $4 billion. Now it's a rescue mission just to keep the wool runners on the shelves.
Speaking of keeping things on shelves, L'Oreal finally completed the Kering Beauté acquisition,
Securing 50-year exclusive beauty licenses for Bottega Veneta and Balenciaga. And 6, the big one.
$44.8 billion for mayonnaise and bouillon cubes. You really have to respect the sheer audacity of this print.
I respect the fact that it pushed first quarter M&A volume up 20%. We just crossed the $1.3 trillion mark globally, and this McCormick Unilever tie-up is doing a lot of the heavy lifting.
It's a monster. McCormick is taking Unilever's entire global foods business. They're creating a $20 billion revenue flavor powerhouse. If you look in your pantry right now, they basically own it.
Sure, but $44.8 billion? Nate, Unilever has been telegraphing they wanted to dump this portfolio for years. It's slow growth. It's heavy margin pressure. I read the press release and all I see is McCormick overpaying to acquire someone else's legacy headache.
You're looking at it like a tech reporter, Maya. You want 30% year-over-year growth? This is food. This is pure cash flow. McCormick knows how to squeeze margins out of supply chains better than anyone on earth.
They know spices. Spices have incredible margins. Fighting for shelf space in the condiment aisle is a knife fight. Integrating a massive, sluggish global food division is a totally different game.
I think you're underestimating the scale advantage. When you walk into a major retailer as a supplier and say you represent $20 billion of their grocery aisle, you dictate the terms. You control the pricing power.
Okay, but let's talk about who actually wins here. Unilever is the clear winner. They get a massive cash infusion to pivot toward higher margin beauty and personal care. Look at L'Oreal locking up those 50-year exclusive licenses for Bottega and Balenciaga today. That's where the real margin is. Unilever wants to play in that sandbox, not in gravy packets.
The bankers win. Don't forget the bankers. The advisory fees on a $44 billion transaction buy a lot of Old Bay seasoning.
Well, a lot of Hampton yachts named Old Bay.
Exactly, but honestly, I think McCormick's stock will take a hit short term, but long term, this is a legacy-defining move for their CEO. They're buying stability.
If the regulators even let it happen, you can't just consolidate the entire grocery store without someone in Washington throwing a fit.
Oh, come on. You think antitrust is going to block a mayonnaise and mustard deal? It isn't exactly big tech.
I think they're going to look very closely at market share in specific aisle categories. We're going to see the actual merger agreement drop. Voices.
An unprecedented global flavor leader. That's the actual quote from the street this morning on McCormick swallowing Unilever's foods division. $20 billion in combined revenue. I absolutely love the scale here.
Unprecedented, right? Because mashing mustard and mayonnaise together magically creates unprecedented synergies.
Oh, come on. It's a $44.8 billion mega deal. It basically carried the entire quarter. Analysts are pointing out that Q1 global M&A hit $1.3 trillion. That's a 20% jump year over year. The bankers are officially back.
Are they back? Or are they just printing a few massive tickets to hide the fact that overall deal volume is still sluggish? I read that same note. They call it a robust recovery. I call it a desperate board paying a massive premium for top-line growth because their organic numbers are stalled.
I completely disagree. You don't drop $44 billion out of desperation. You do it because you see a generational land grab. Unilever wanted out of foods. McCormick wants to own literally every bottle in your pantry. It's a brilliant strategic realignment.
It's classic empire building. I want to see the actual margin profile on that $20 billion in revenue. Unilever's food margins have been dragging for years. McCormick is buying a very heavy anchor.
A delicious shelf-stable anchor?
Please stop.
Look, $1.3 trillion in Q1 means confidence is returning to the boardrooms. You can't deny the momentum.
I'll believe the momentum when I see the breakup fees on this McCormick deal. We should get those regulatory filings tomorrow. Antitrust regulators are going to have an absolute field day with the condiment aisle.
Fair point. And speaking of massive pools of capital looking for a home, did you see the Blackstone news? $6.3 billion closed for their new life sciences fund.
I did. And that's exactly why we need to look at what Biogen is doing with Apellis next. Spill the tea.
I just cannot get over the Allbirds number, $39 million.
Honestly, the fact that shares jumped 30% on that news tells you everything you need to know about how desperate things got.
Right? American Exchange Group is basically picking them up out of the bargain bin. I remember when every single associate in my bullpen was wearing those wool runners. Yet they were practically standard issue with the fleece vest.
And now it is a rescue mission. But wait, I have to pivot because speaking of ghosts from the past, did you see the SPAC rumor floating around?
Do not tell me we are doing SPACs again. I thought we collectively agreed to leave those in 2021.
Crown Reserve is supposedly circling Carvix for a $1 billion merger.
Oh, come on, $1 billion? Show me the projections, because I guarantee you they look like a hockey stick drawn by a toddler.
Actually, Carvix has real revenue. It is not flying taxis this time, Nate. You're letting your banker PTSD cloud your judgment here.
Fair. I just have a visceral reaction to the word SPAC. It makes my eye twitch.
You'll survive. What really caught my eye in the rumor mill today, though, is the L'Oreal deal with Kering Beauté.
Securing the beauty licenses for Bottega Veneta and Balenciaga, pure luxury play.
For 50 years, Nate. Half a century. Who signs a 50-year exclusive license in the fashion world?
Someone who knows exactly how valuable a Balenciaga perfume bottle is going to be in 2074. It's brilliant. You lock them down, you control the margins.
Or it's a massive overcommitment if the brand takes a hit. I read the press release, and I would love to see the termination clauses on a 50-year marriage like that.
Speaking of reading the fine print, tomorrow we need to dig into the regulatory filings for that $44.8 billion McCormick and Unilever tie-up.
Oh, absolutely. I am dying to see exactly what those breakup fees look like. Tomorrow's radar.
Blackstone just closed their life sciences fund at $6.3 billion. Tomorrow, expect a massive shopping spree. Biotech buyouts are back.
Back. They never left. Biogen just scooped up Apellis for $5.6 billion. Blackstone is just late to the party.
Late, but with the biggest wallet. $6.3 billion creates its own gravity.
Fine. But what I'm actually refreshing Edgar for tomorrow are the McCormick and Unilever filings.
Ah yes, the $44.8 billion flavor cartel.
I need to see the exact breakup fees on that one. You don't combine to make $20 billion in revenue without regulators throwing a fit over the global mayonnaise supply.
You think regulators genuinely care about mayonnaise?
I think they care about market share.
Fair. Meanwhile, I'll be pouring one out for Allbirds, a $39 million rescue acquisition, from peak tech bro uniform to the bargain bin.
A dramatic fall. We'll be tracking those McCormick footnotes the second they hit the wire. Catch you tomorrow.